You'll be out by spring, girl. I am offering half market value. Take it now, or the bank will take everything.
Number. This ranch was my father's. I am not letting you steal it.
You are a single mother with no ranching experience. You'll lose it anyway. Might as well get something.
Then at least I'll lose it on my own terms.
Stubborn as her old man, and just as doomed.
Inside the bank, the truth was harsh. A debt she couldn't say out loud, and only 60 days until foreclosure. The loan officer offered no extensions. She walked out into the parking lot, where her children were waiting in the truck.
Those two kids in the back seat. If I give up, what do they get? Nothing. I will find a way. I have to.
She didn't know how yet, but she'd made her choice. The fight had begun. That afternoon, Jennifer walked into the dusty farm office her father had used for 30 years. Inside an old ledger, she found a yellow time card with her father's name and a wage that stopped her breath.
$4.25 an hour. They paid him less than a teenager mowing lawns.
She remembered her father's voice, bitter and quiet, explaining how the Brewers had undercut wages in the 80s, leaving him no choice.
They tried to break him. They won't break me. And now they want to take the rest. The land, the legacy, everything he built.
At the kitchen table, she laid out the foreclosure notice and a stack of unpaid bills. The numbers were worse than she had admitted.
60 days. That's all the bank gave me.
Her children patted in, Lily clutching a crayon drawing of a horse, Caleb rubbing his eyes.
I won't lose this place. Not for anything.
She put the kids to bed, then opened her laptop and typed adaptive multi-paddock grazing setup. She watched video after video, grass recovery cycles, stocking density, polywire fencing. 3 hours passed.
This is either the smartest thing I've ever tried, or the most desperate.
By Saturday, she had loaded 20 head into the trailer and driven to the livestock auction, selling every animal that wasn't productive.
That's breathing room. Now for the gamble. Polywire and solar chargers instead of more cows.
3 days later, she was out on the pasture, stepping in temporary posts, stringing polywire to divide a 30-acre field into 4 sections.
Look at that. She thinks she's gonna rotate cows like some fancy university farm.
Ruining good ground. That's what she's doing. I'll let Tom at the bank know she's wasting her last dollars.
You won't be laughing when this pasture's still green in August.
She finished the fence, opened the gate, and watched her remaining cattle step into the first fresh paddock. There was no turning back. After 2 weeks, she moved the herd to the second paddock. The first looked ragged, but its soil held moisture far longer than plowed ground.
The roots are holding. The ground is changing. This might actually work.
At night, she taught herself to build a website, dragging photos and struggling with payment buttons on a free template.
1 order. That's all I need to prove this can sell.
Then the bank letter arrived. 60 days to cure the entire debt, or the ranch would be auctioned.
60 days. The same number again. Like a countdown.
That evening, Lily and Caleb brought her a crayon drawing of the ranch, Mommy's Farm, written across the top.
This is the most important document in this office, you two.
She taped it to her monitor, right over the foreclosure letter.
You two are the reason I will never quit.
A dry spell hit the county. Every other pasture turned brittle, but Jennifer's paddocks, with deeper roots, held moisture a few inches deeper.
The ground's holding. It's working, but not fast enough.
She's salting that ground. No way a woman with no experience keeps grass alive in this heat without chemicals.
They won't even let the land speak for itself.
Later, at a farm supply store, Kenneth cornered a potential customer looking at local beef listings.
You don't want that Hayes Ranch beef. Word is, she's pumping chemicals to make her fields look green.
The couple walked away, shaking their heads. From across the lot, Jennifer watched another sale vanish. She drove back to the ranch, stumbled into the barn office, and let the tears come.
1 customer. That's all I needed. They can't see me like this. I have to be strong.
An Austin food blogger, intrigued by the single mom ranch story, placed an order for a sample box. When the box arrived, she photographed the vacuum-sealed steaks and wrote a caption that caught fire. The post hit Instagram. "Best grass-finished beef I've ever tasted." And it comes from a Texas mom fighting the odds. Within hours, Jennifer's phone buzzed. Then again, and again.
23 PayPal notifications. 23 subscribers. This can't be real.
She drove home in a daze, walked into the kitchen, and told the kids to grab the packing tape. Lily placed the thank you notes while Caleb counted the steaks. They worked past midnight. The next morning, she walked into the bank with a deposit slip that made the loan officer look up. After reviewing the sudden cash flow, the bank agreed to extend the loan by another 90 days.
40 subscribers. A lifeline. But now I have to scale this thing fast.
With the subscriber cash, she drove to a dispersal auction and returned with 30 head of young Angus, filling her trailer. For the first time in months, she moved them into the third paddock, where the grass was knee-high and dense. The soil underfoot felt like a sponge.
I can't handle 70 head alone. I need help. Yesterday.
She tacked a handwritten job notice to the feed store bulletin board. Ranch hand wanted. Hard work, fair pay. Within a day, a quiet young man from the next town showed up, cap in hand, and she hired him on the spot. By the end of the week, the ranch had 2 workers moving polywire and checking water troughs. The paddocks expanded. A drone photo posted online showed the county the stark line, Hayes Ranch lush and green, Brewer property brown and bare.
There's no way she's doing that without chemicals. Someone should test her soil.
Let them test it. The truth is in the roots.
Kenneth drove past slowly that evening, his jaw tight, studying the healthy cattle grazing beyond her new fence. A county extension agent visited Hayes Ranch and walked the paddocks with a soil probe, his expression shifting from curiosity to amazement. His report read, "Hayes Ranch demonstrates the most advanced soil health I've seen in this county. The future of ranching is right here." Word spread. Soon, neighbors who had once snickered began pulling up along the fence, asking about stocking density and grass recovery.
A year ago, they called me a fool. Now they're taking notes.
Meanwhile, over at the Brewer place, the auction trailer was being loaded, a tractor, a baler, and the last of their pride. At the next town hall, the topic turned to the strange turn of events, the single mother thriving while the old guard struggled.
It's all a scam. She's paying for fake reviews and undercutting honest ranchers.
A voice from the back cut through. "She earned every sale, Roy. Maybe you all should try honest work for once." Roy dropped into his chair, face burning. The room murmured agreement, and Jennifer slipped out the side door, unnoticed.
They're not my fight anymore. The land is.
2 weeks after the town hall, Jennifer was sorting packing lists when an email from a regional PBS producer landed in her inbox. The subject line read, "Documentary on women in agriculture. We want to feature your ranch."
They'll want the kids in it. I won't risk their faces becoming targets for the Brewers' gossip.
After a tense phone call, the producer agreed to blur any background shots of the children. Jennifer said yes. The film crew arrived the following Tuesday. 2 cameras, a drone, and a quiet director with a list of questions. They spent the morning capturing her against the golden light, moving cattle through paddocks, the drone's shadow dancing over the grass. She walked the crew through a knee-high paddock, explaining recovery cycles, while a boom mic hovered close. During the porch interview, the director asked the one question she had been dreading.
I tell them to look at the soil under their own boots. The truth is right there. They're all going to see this. The Brewers, the bank, everyone who said I'd fail.
A week after the documentary preview clip went viral in the county, the bank sent their loan officer in person to the Brewer Ranch. The officer unfolded the foreclosure warning and set it on the table. Their operating losses were no longer bearable.
This is your fault, Kenneth. You said she'd fail. You kept us from changing when we had the chance.
I did what I thought was right. We all agreed. Don't put this on me alone.
There was no choice. A complete dispersal sale was announced for the following Saturday. The auction had none of the energy of a strong sale, only a handful of bidders, most of them curiosities from 3 counties over. They sold the breeding stock, the calves, and the last of their hope. The trailer pulled away light across the road. Jennifer sat in her pickup, the engine idling. She hadn't meant to stop, but something held her there.
They're at the end. After everything they said, they're down to nothing.
When the day ended, the net proceeds barely covered the debt. The Brewer Ranch sign leaned a little more. 2 days after the dispersal sale, the documentary crew returned to film a final segment about the man who started it all. She led them into the barn office, her father's old domain, and opened a dusty drawer.
This was my father's time card. He punched it every day for 15 years. The Brewers paid him $4.25 an hour. They slashed wages across the county and told everybody take it or leave it. He had no choice.
The director leaned forward and asked the question she must have been waiting for.
If the Brewers came asking for work, I'd give them a chance at the exact same rate, and they'd punch this card every single morning.
The crew exchanged glances. The significance wasn't lost on them. She slid the card back into the drawer, but her smile said she'd already made up her mind.
If they ever ask, I'll know exactly what to offer.
3 weeks later, the documentary segment aired during the Friday evening news, broadcast across 3 counties. At May's Diner, every head turned toward the screen as Jennifer's interview replaced the weather report. She held up the time card, explained the old wage, and said she'd give the Brewers a chance at that exact rate. The diner erupted in murmurs. A few old-timers smirked. The Brewers had just been undressed in public. It's the Brewer house. Kenneth sat in his worn recliner, the same broadcast flickering on his small television.
$4.25. She remembered everything.
That woman's ruined us. She made us a joke on television.
Roy hurled an empty can at the wall, where it clattered among old dents. Earl stared at the floor.
She said she'd give us a chance. Maybe she's our only way out of this.
The room went silent. Kenneth's mind was already turning toward the gate she'd left open. That night, Jennifer tucked the kids in early and sat on the edge of Lily's bed, her mind a battlefield.
Mommy, why do the Brewers hate us? Is it because Daddy is gone?
How do I explain to a 6-year-old that some people's pride is more important to them than truth?
The next morning, she drove out to the old Harper place, where her father's best friend still kept a small herd. The old man set down his coffee and pointed to a faded photograph. Your dad would want them humbled, not broken.
Humbled, not broken. That's exactly what the time card could do.
She drove straight to her own barn office, opened a clean document on her computer, and started typing. At the bottom of each employment contract, she highlighted a single line, hourly wage, $4.25. She set the time card on top of the stack and waited.
If they swallow their pride and show up, they'll find more than a job. They'll find a mirror.
It took Kenneth 2 more weeks to gather the nerve. On a cold Tuesday morning, he climbed into his battered truck and drove to the Hayes Ranch. He parked near the red barn and walked slowly toward the porch, his hat already in his hands.
Miss Hayes, I know I've said things, but we're out of options. We'll do any work you've got.
Jennifer watched him from the screen door, her face unreadable.
Come back tomorrow morning. Bring your brothers. We'll talk.
She closed the door without another word, her hand lingering on the knob.
He actually came. Now the rest will follow.
Outside, Kenneth stood frozen for a moment, then walked back to his truck with his head down. She watched through the window as the truck disappeared, then allowed herself a small, quiet smile.
Tomorrow, every debt starts getting paid.
Jennifer arrived before sunrise, unlocking the barn office and pulling a dusty cloth from the shelf. She wiped down the old time clock, her father's initials still scratched into the metal base. From a drawer, she retrieved a fresh time card, the number 47 printed at the top, just like his had been. On the desk, 3 contracts waited, the wage line highlighted as if demanding to be seen. Through the window, she saw the dusty truck pull up. 3 men climbed out, their breath steaming in the cold. The brewer truck idled for a moment. Then the doors creaked open. They walked slowly toward the barn, hats clutched in front of them like shields. The barn door slid open, and they stepped inside, the morning light at their backs. She stood beside the time clock, her hand resting on the stack of contracts.
Before we talk, I need to show you something.
She lifted her father's time card and held it out where all 3 men could see.
My father punched this card for your father. You'll do the same for me, at the same $4.25 an hour.
Roy's mouth opened to protest, but Kenneth shot him a look that could bend iron.
Not a word, Roy.
Kenneth took the card. His eyes found the name, and his hands trembled just slightly.
James Hayes. So this was never just about money.
You'll punch this card at 7 every morning. Same rules, same consequences. No exceptions.
For a long moment, no one breathed. The only sound was the tick of the old clock on the wall.
We'll do it.
The surrender was spoken, but the weight of it filled the barn more heavily than any signature ever could. Kenneth took the pen from the table. His jaw clenched as he signed the first contract, the stroke heavy and final. He slid the paper toward her without meeting her eyes. The weight of the act seemed to settle in his shoulders. Roy hesitated, the pen hovering. Then, with a quick, angry motion, he scratched his name and stepped back. Earl was last. He signed slowly, deliberately, and gave Jennifer a single, respectful nod. Jennifer placed a fresh time card in the slot of the old clock and nodded toward Kenneth. He stepped forward, gripped the handle, and punched down. The clang echoed through the barn like a judge's gavel. As the card slid back up with the fresh stamp, Jennifer raised her phone and captured the image. She showed no smile, only the quiet satisfaction of a long-awaited debt, finally paid.
For you, Dad. Every single punch is for you.
She lowered the phone and tucked it into her pocket. The next era of Hayes Ranch had begun. At 7, Kenneth was shoveling manure in the barn alley, the stench rising as Jennifer rode past on her paint. He moved with a rhythm he'd forgotten, each scoop a reminder of where he'd ended up. Roy and Earl stretched barbed wire in the north pasture, shirts dark with sweat by mid-morning. At noon, the brothers sat alone under the barn's tin roof, eating in silence while the other hands laughed. Jennifer's assistant leaned on his shovel watching them, then walked over to where she waited on horseback. He shook his head, grinning. "Boss, you really did it." She didn't answer, just watched the reins loose in her hands. She rode a slow circle around the barn, the sun warm on her back, letting the moment settle. Evening. The time clock clanged as the brothers punched out, cards sliding in with the old number. No words, but the weight of the day hung in the air like dust. A week later, every diner and feed store in the county buzzed with the same news. The brewers were working for Jennifer Hayes. At the feed store, old Dale stopped her by the counter and shook his head with something close to admiration. "You are a bigger person than me, hiring them after everything," he said. And she just nodded.
It wasn't about being bigger. It was about settling a bill.
An invitation came from the Women's Agricultural Cooperative, asking her to speak at their next meeting. She prepared no notes, but slipped the time card into her pocket before driving to the hall. In the back of the room, Kenneth sat unnoticed, listening as she told the story of the wage and the card. She didn't name him, but everyone knew. When she finished, the applause was a quiet, certain sound. Later, she heard someone say, "She's got more grit than all 3 Brewer brothers combined."
They still don't understand. Grit is just love with nowhere else to go.
That evening, she connected her phone to the printer and fed it a sheet of photo paper. The image emerged. Kenneth's hand on the lever, the time card stamped, his face etched with surrender. She placed it in a simple wooden frame, no glass, just the raw paper and the memory. Then she set it on the shelf, right beside the faded photograph of her father. Lily wandered in, rubbing her eyes, and pointed at the new frame.
Mommy, why is that picture here?
That's the day the ranch came home, sweetheart.
Lily stared for a moment longer, then nodded, as if she understood more than a child should.
One man built this ranch, another nearly tore it down. Now, they both watch over it.
She turned off the light, leaving the two pictures facing each other in the dark, their silent truce sealed. Sunday morning, Jennifer loaded the kids into the truck with a bundle of wildflowers and drove to the small cemetery under the live oak. They knelt at the simple granite marker, and Jennifer brushed a few fallen leaves from the name.
We made it, Dad. The ranch is ours, really ours. And those brewers work for me now.
From her jacket, she pulled a small copy of the time card photo and tucked it under a flat stone beside the headstone. Lily and Caleb each laid a bundle of wildflowers against the granite, their small hands careful and sure.
Grandpa taught me that the land keeps you if you keep it. We won't ever let it go.
She stayed kneeling a moment longer, then stood, pulling the children close under the broad oak. As they turned to leave, the clouds broke, and a shaft of sunlight fell directly on her father's name. She didn't look back. She didn't need to. The warmth on her neck said enough. The ranch and its story had come full circle. From the air, the herd moved across the paddocks like a slow river, grass thickening behind them. In the barn lot, Kenneth tightened a water trough valve and, for the first time, didn't grumble. Roy and Earl stretched wire in the north paddock, the fence line straight for the first time in months. When the day was done, a group photo caught even the Brewers with something like a smile. At the entrance, the Hayes Ranch sign bore fresh paint and a small notice: beef sold out. Jennifer rode the fence line with Lily in the saddle ahead and Caleb behind, the paint horse stepping gently. The cattle rested under sky and the ponds brimmed full, the whole ranch a living, breathing thing. The drone pulled back, the 200 acres laid out in ordered green, a ranch reborn. The winds stirred, and for once, there was no argument, only the sound of cattle and grass. She rode toward the sunset, and slowly, the light took her.